My name is Daniel Harper, and I'm 34 years old. This is the story of how my entire family betrayed me, and how I made them regret every second of it. Growing up, I never thought I'd be the kind of person to say I took revenge on my own family. Honestly, I was the quiet one. The responsible son. The one who stayed in line while my younger brother, Tyler, caused chaos. I grew up in a small town in Oregon. My parents, Karen and John Harper, ran a small antique business, one of those places filled with dusty clocks, rusted lamps, and more stories than customers. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. And I loved it. I wasn't the favorite. I was the safe bet. You know, the kind of kid who got straight A's, always did his chores, never talked back. The one parents assumed would just figure life out. Tyler, on the other hand, he was the golden boy. The charming disaster. The kid who barely passed school but still got praise for trying. The one who crashed a car at 17 and still got another one the same year. My parents always had a soft spot for him. Maybe it's because he was the baby. Maybe because he knew how to manipulate their emotions. Maybe they just liked him more. I don't know. But what I do know is that I spent my entire life earning everything, while he had everything handed to him. I didn't hate him for it. Not back then. When I turned 18, I left for college, a full scholarship to a state university. I worked 2 part-time jobs during school. I skipped parties. I ate instant noodles. I graduated with honors in finance and had 0 debt. Meanwhile, Tyler dropped out of community college, got arrested twice for DUIs, and still managed to live in my parents' house rent-free. They called it support. I called it enabling. But I stayed quiet. Always quiet. Because that's what I'd been raised to be. When my parents got older, early 60s, I started helping with their finances. I made sure their taxes were handled, suggested they expand their antique store online. Helped them save thousands. Did they thank me? Sometimes. But it always felt like an afterthought. Then came the worst day of my life. It was a sunny Sunday. I remember because it was the first time in years we'd all had dinner together. Tyler had come by with his newest girlfriend, some Instagram model type with fake lashes and no volume control. I had brought documents for my parents to sign, part of the estate planning I was helping them with. I wasn't doing it for me. I just wanted their legacy to be protected. But then my mom said it. In front of everyone. Oh, about the will. We've decided to leave the house and the business to Tyler. I remember the exact way she said it. Casual. Like she was talking about dinner. I couldn't speak. I just looked at her, then my dad. He avoided eye contact. But I've been handling the finances for 6 years, I finally said. You don't think I deserve anything? My mom laughed, and said, Danny, you're doing fine. Tyler needs this more. Tyler smirked like the smug little bastard he was. That night, something in me snapped. I didn't show it. I smiled. I nodded. I even helped with the dishes. But deep inside, I made a promise to myself. One day, they'll regret ever choosing him over me. After that dinner, I couldn't sleep for days. I'd lay in bed replaying every conversation, every thankless act, every sacrifice I'd made. And now, it meant nothing. All of it, the help, the loyalty, the years I'd swallowed my pride, tossed away like I was just a placeholder until Tyler got his act together. Except he never got his act together. I started observing. Quietly. Strategically. Tyler didn't just get the house and the store, he got access. He moved in within a week. Started running the antique store like it was a pawn shop. He changed the name to Ty's Timeless Treasures. A tacky logo. Flashy signs. And worst of all, he started selling our parents' vintage items on Instagram Live. I watched it all from a distance. I never once confronted him. No. This kind of betrayal deserved something better than rage. It deserved design. I started visiting the store more often. Just as a supportive brother, of course. I told Tyler I wanted to help him digitize the inventory, modernize the system. He handed me everything, admin passwords, sales logs, even shipping records. He thought I was a free IT guy. He had no idea what I was really doing. Behind the scenes, I started building a digital trail. Every shady deal, every underreported cash payment, every tax corner he cut. You see, Tyler didn't believe in paying taxes when the government doesn't do anything for you. His words, not mine. So I let him dig his own grave. Every time he pocketed cash without logging it, I made a note. Every illegal shipment to Canada without a license? Noted. Every time he asked an employee to just say it was a gift sale? Noted. By the end of 3 months, I had a binder full of dirt. Then came his girlfriend, Natalie. Fake blonde, fake smile, real greedy. I found out through mutual friends that she was a former bottle service girl from LA who once got sued for mismanaging a small online boutique. Gold digger with a capital G. So what did I do? I got closer. I accidentally ran into her at a wine bar. Told her I worked in finance. Told her Tyler and I were planning to open a second store and might need someone with a fashion sense to run it. She lit up like a Christmas tree. I let her think she was getting in early. Told her I'd give her 5% stake if she helped promote the brand. Guess what she did? She convinced Tyler to open a new store and invest nearly $40,000 of their money into it. He maxed out a credit card. Took out a personal loan. He was over-leveraged within 3 weeks. And I hadn't even made my move yet. I waited. Waited until the IRS audit season came. Then I submitted an anonymous report with full documentation of all the discrepancies in Tyler's store accounts. It took them 2 months to review. Then came the letter. $67,000 in unpaid taxes and penalties. Tyler panicked. My parents panicked. I offered to look at the letter and give them my expert opinion. I sat across from my dad as he read the audit report. His hands were shaking. My mom had tears in her eyes. Tyler just stared at me like a scared little boy. I don't know how this happened, my mom whispered. Oh, I said gently. I do. It's called incompetence. No one said a word. They asked if I could help. And that's when I smiled, the real smile, for the first time in months. I could help, but I think Tyler needs this more. The exact words my mother used on me. The irony didn't go unnoticed. That was just the beginning. I wasn't done. Not yet. Because Tyler still had one thing left. And I was about to take that, too. Tyler was spiraling. He owed the IRS more than he'd ever seen in his bank account. His girlfriend, Natalie, the one he trusted enough to open a second store with, left him the moment she realized there wasn't going to be a fashion line in her name. She ghosted him. Blocked his number. Took half the cash she had access to from the business account and vanished. You know the funny part? I never told her to do it. All I had to do was offer the illusion of power. And she did what gold diggers do when they smell a burning house. She ran. Tyler was left with one location hemorrhaging money, another store lease that hadn't even been opened, and a 5-digit IRS debt. Oh, and no girlfriend to emotionally manipulate anymore. But I still wasn't done. My parents were still trying to protect him. They offered to sell their retirement annuity early to cover some of his costs. That's when I stepped in, again, playing the good son. I told them, "You don't have to sell anything. I'll take care of it." They looked relieved. That was, until I said the next line. "I'll buy the store from him. Entirely. But only at market value, and under one condition." My dad hesitated. My mom blinked in disbelief. Tyler. He didn't even speak. "What condition?" my mom asked. Tyler signs away all rights. Present. Future. Everything. The store. The name. The inventory. Even the logo he made. It all comes to me. My mom said, "You can't be serious." Tyler, still in shock, finally found the words. "Bro, that's not fair." I turned to him slowly, calmly. "You stole my inheritance, remember? Fair left the building years ago." They didn't agree at first. It took a few weeks of watching Tyler dig deeper into debt, trying to apply for loans no one would approve, and finally, he cracked. He came to my apartment. Unannounced. It was the first time he'd ever done that. He stood there, unshaven, eyes bloodshot, wearing the same hoodie he probably hadn't taken off in days. "Can we talk?" he mumbled. I let him in. Offered him a seat. Didn't offer water. I wasn't that nice. And then came the sentence I'd waited years to hear. "I need your help." He said it with so much hesitation, it almost sounded like a question. I didn't gloat. I didn't mock him. I just slid the contract across the table. One single folder. A few pages. "This will clear your debts. I'll cover the IRS, the lease, the suppliers. But once you sign, we're done. I own everything. You walk away." He stared at it like it was a loaded weapon. And I said, "Take your time. Just remember, every day you don't sign it, the IRS interest goes up." He signed. Without reading. I watched him scribble his name like a man digging his own grave. No one forced him. No tricks. Just reality. I got up, walked to the counter, poured myself a glass of wine. "Congratulations," I said. "You finally earned something on your own. Rock bottom." He left without another word. I rebranded the store within a month. New name, Harper & Company. Antiques. Polished, elegant, true to my parents' original vision. I cleaned up the online catalog. Launched a real e-commerce site. Paid off all outstanding debts. Hired professionals. Ran ads. 6 months later, the store was featured in a regional magazine for reviving small-town history. Tyler. He was working part-time at a gas station. My mom told me, through tears, that he'd asked to move back in. I didn't laugh. I didn't even smile. I just said, "Wish him the best for me." And yet, I wasn't angry anymore. Not because I'd gotten everything I wanted, but because I had finally taken back control of my life. I hadn't burned bridges. I'd rebuilt them into boundaries. And the most satisfying part, I never once yelled. Never once raised my voice. I let the truth and reality do the shouting for me. But there was still one final moment to come. One dinner. One conversation. One apology that changed everything. 6 months after I took over the antique store, things were better than ever. The business was thriving. I'd hired 2 part-time employees, honest, professional, and passionate about vintage history. We were shipping products internationally, partnering with small museums, and even hosting online workshops on antique preservation. And me? I was finally peaceful. No bitterness. No rage. Just focus. But then came a phone call I didn't expect. It was my mother. "We'd like you to come for dinner on Sunday." Her voice was polite. Uncharacteristically so. "Your father's cooking." She didn't mention Tyler. But she didn't have to. I knew he'd be there. This wasn't just a family meal. This was the fallout dinner. I showed up. On time. The house looked smaller. Maybe because I'd grown. Or maybe because I'd stopped seeing it as home a long time ago. Inside, the table was set for 4. Roast chicken. Mashed potatoes. The usual comfort food. My dad nodded at me. My mom smiled politely. Tyler. He didn't look at me at all. He sat there, chewing slowly, like the food was a form of punishment. No one spoke for the first 10 minutes. Just clinking silverware. Then my father cleared his throat. "We owe you an apology." I paused. He'd never said those words before. Not once in 34 years. He looked me in the eyes, watery, tired, and older than I remembered. "I don't know where we went wrong with Tyler. Maybe we thought spoiling him would make him happy. Maybe we thought you were strong enough to not need us. We were wrong." I didn't interrupt. My mother continued. "You did everything right, Daniel. And we treated you like a backup plan." Her voice cracked on the last 2 words. I felt something stir in my chest. Not revenge. Not satisfaction. Something sadder. Tyler finally spoke. "I was an idiot. I thought I was the star of the show. But you were the one doing all the work behind the curtain." His voice was barely above a whisper. He didn't ask for forgiveness. And that was the first honest thing he'd said to me in years. I didn't lecture them. Didn't gloat. I just said, "You don't owe me apologies. You owe yourselves a chance to do better, starting now." And then I looked at Tyler. "You still have time to fix your life. But no one's going to hand you the tools anymore." He nodded. No tears. No drama. Just a quiet understanding. After the meal, my mom pulled me aside in the kitchen. She handed me an envelope. "We never told you this, but your grandfather had a second trust. For you. Your name's on it. We didn't think you'd need it, but we were wrong." Inside was a certified letter from a law firm. A small trust, about $75,000, left by my grandfather, for the son who holds the family name with honor. I never knew about it. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. She looked ashamed. "Because we thought Tyler would be the one to carry the Harper legacy. We thought wrong. I didn't use that money for a vacation. I didn't upgrade my car. I reinvested it into the store. Into what I'd built. Into something I could pass on." That night, as I drove home, I realized something. Revenge isn't about making someone cry. It's about making them see. See what they lost. See what they took for granted. See who you really are. I didn't destroy my family. I rebuilt myself, without them. And when they were ready to join me, I let them. Not because they deserved it, but because I did. 3 months after that dinner, I was on a roll. Harper and Company. Antiques had just been featured on a national lifestyle blog. We were getting online orders from cities I'd never even visited: Boston, Denver, even Toronto. People were loving the vibe. Vintage soul meets modern elegance. I had finally found my lane. But life, as always, doesn't like straight roads. It started with a voicemail. "Hey, it's Tyler. I know I shouldn't be calling, but I need your help. I'm in trouble." I almost deleted it. I wish I had. He had tried to start his own business again, a furniture flipping side hustle with a sketchy partner he met at his part-time job. Some guy named Kurt. They were buying cheap wooden furniture, slapping on paint, and selling it on Facebook Marketplace as rustic reclaimed heirlooms. Problem was, they weren't just repainting. They were faking antique value. One buyer, a retired art professor, caught them red-handed. Lawsuit pending. And Tyler? He had signed all the papers under his name. He came to my store in person the next day. His eyes were bloodshot, his fingers twitching. I didn't know Kurt was using fake provenance documents. I swear. But if this goes to court, I could go to jail, man. I crossed my arms. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I figured, you know the antique world. Maybe you know a way out." I didn't answer right away. I stared at him, really stared. This was the same guy who once told my parents I was boring and too serious for life. The same guy who laughed when they gave him my inheritance. And now he wanted my expertise to bail him out of a fraud case? I took a deep breath. "You know, Tyler, it's amazing. You had everything handed to you. Twice. And every time, you burned it to the ground." He looked down. "I didn't come here for a lecture." "Good. Because I'm not giving one. I'm giving you a choice." I offered him 2 options. I make some calls. Get him a proper antique evaluator. If the fake furniture was provably altered post-2000, they might downgrade the case to civil instead of criminal. That could save him from jail, but he'd owe damages. I walk away. No more second chances. No more help. No more brotherhood. I let him sit with that. He finally said, "If you help me, I'll sign a legal agreement. I'll never ask you for anything again. I'll pay back every cent in installments. I'll even work for you if that's what it takes." I didn't need his work. I didn't want his money. But I did want peace. And maybe a lesson, finally, sticking. I agreed. I pulled in favors. Got a lawyer from an old college friend. Connected Tyler to a real restoration expert who could testify how modern nails and adhesives proved the furniture wasn't authentic. The buyer, thankfully, just wanted public accountability, not jail time. In the end, Tyler paid $8,000 in damages and issued a public apology online. He also got banned from several vintage forums. But he stayed out of jail. And for the first time in his life, he took the hit without blaming anyone. A week later, I got a handwritten note. "You didn't have to help me, but you did. Maybe that's why I'll never be like you. I don't deserve you as a brother. But thank you anyway." Tyler. I still didn't trust him, but I respected the gesture. Sometimes, growth is just a smaller disaster than before. Now there was just one chapter left in my story. One moment that would seal everything I'd built, and give me the closure I never thought I needed. It's funny how revenge, real, patient, purposeful revenge, doesn't end in fireworks. It ends in quiet understanding. It ends when you finally stop looking backward and start planning forward. I'm 37 now. Harper & Company. Antiques is no longer a corner store secret. We now operate in 2 cities, employ 12 people, and host quarterly antique fairs that attract over 5,000 attendees. We've been featured in Country Living, Architectural Digest, and even got a shout-out in a Netflix documentary about restoration art. It's everything I built. From nothing. With no handouts. No inheritance. Just grit. And spreadsheets. Tyler. He works as a logistics coordinator for a small shipping company. He's sober. Responsible. Still quiet. Still awkward. But no longer arrogant. We text. Occasionally. I don't hate him, but I'll never give him access to my world again. That's not vengeance. That's self-respect. 6 months ago, I got a letter in the mail. From my father. Handwritten. Formal. Folded with care. Dear Daniel, if you're reading this, it means we're either too proud to say it aloud, or too late to say it in person. You were never the backup son. You were the foundation. We may have failed you once, but you never failed us. You restored more than antiques. You restored a broken family's dignity, through your silence, your strength, and your refusal to become like us. For that, we are endlessly proud. Love, Dad. I sat in my office for hours with that letter in my hands. Not crying. Not angry. Just still. Sometimes, peace feels heavier than rage. A few weeks ago, I sat across from a 19-year-old girl in my store. Her name was Elsie. She was bright, nervous, and clutching a wrinkled resume like it was made of gold. She said, "I'm studying art history. I've read everything about your restoration techniques. I'll work weekends, mornings, holidays. I just want to learn." She reminded me of me. I hired her on the spot. 1 week into training, I pulled her aside. "How would you feel about something bigger?" She looked confused. "Like what?" "Like managing this store someday. Maybe even owning it." Her mouth fell open. "Sir, I mean Daniel, I've only worked here 5 days." I smiled. "That's how long it took my family to forget everything I did for them. You've already done more than that by showing up." People think revenge is about making others suffer. It's not. It's about rising above, without asking for applause. It's about building something so strong, so pure, so yours, that the people who doubted you become irrelevant. I don't want to destroy people anymore. I want to build people who never need to be destroyed in the first place. And that's the legacy I choose. Daniel Harper, 37. Owner, Harper & Company. Son. Brother. Builder. Survivor. If you ever felt overlooked, forgotten, or betrayed, remember, you don't need revenge to win. You just need to rise. Leave a comment. Have you ever been the Daniel in your family? Like, share, and subscribe for more real stories that hit hard.